Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Sugarcane. This is a documentary from 2024. It is pretty new, pretty new. I'm not sure exactly. I think it just got added in the last quarter of 2024, because I don't think it was on here beforehand. Excuse me. It's an hour and 48 minutes long, and this is a really tough one to watch. Not because it's, we're not talking about volcanoes or sharks or how different certain, I don't know, societies work, or a little bit of history here, a little bit of archaeology there. This is the story of native indigenous people of North America, specifically in Canada. It's the focus here is on Canada, although it happened throughout North America, even more so in the United States, where the indigenous people, the indigenous children, were separated from their families so that they could be taught, educated, and sort of raised by the Catholic Church. And one of the most unsettling things about this is the reasoning behind it is to take care of the Indian problem. Yeah, you kind of saw that coming. Probably. Excuse me. This is an emotional watch, and I don't script these things, if you can't tell. It's mainly just me rambling for 20 minutes in some cases. Hopefully not this time. It's me just sort of vomiting up my feelings or thoughts on these things. And this takes place specifically in relation to the Sugarcane Indian Reserve in the St. Joseph Mission. For way too many years, the indigenous people of this area, we get to meet some of them that were in this school, these religious schools, and they didn't want to be there. They didn't want to be indoctrinated in the ways of the white man, and rightfully so. Taken away from their families, and sometimes offered up by their families. Not in a way of offering, but I mean in just a way that maybe there could be a better life for them, considering so many horrible things had been done to the indigenous people of America when the Europeans came over and did their business. That is the nicest way I can put that. Basically, either slaughtering or poisoning or infecting or doing whatever they can to get rid of the people that were just taking up too much space, and fighting back at times when the new people in town decided to, I want that land. That land's mine now because I'm here. But that's not even what this is about. This is not even the crime. The crime is that so many of these children, and there is footage, by the way, old footage, probably filmed in a way originally to show the great benefits of such a thing that was taking place at this time. Black and white footage. I'm sorry for so many pauses, because I want to get this right, and I don't want to interpret this wrong. These children were abused in more ways than one. And we get to meet a number of them who are still alive today. Some who wonder why they are still alive today. Who are having a hard time throughout this documentary. And there's a number of different angles that this is approached through, a number of different people that the focus is put on. The current chief, Willie Sellers, we get to see him in his home life as he is advocating for these people, his people, and as he's raising his own children. And the work he's doing from a political stance, from an administrative stance, to make change, to bring these things to light. We also follow a woman named Whitney Spearing, who, with a number of other Native women who had direct experience in these schools, the missions, do their best to recall what happened to them and those they knew. And a lot of the time it wasn't just, abuse. Not that that's the great in any means. It's also the fact that many of them had babies. They became pregnant. And sometimes the babies just disappeared. Some of them, many of them, in fact, as far as they know, one of the people in here, his name's Ed Archie Noisecat. Great name, by the way. He, with the help of his son, who co-directed this film, is often being asked by his son to help understand what went on, to see if he, try to recall things, try to help them figure out where and why and who was responsible for these things. And it's never easy. You have to understand, these people are not, they're not cowards. They're not fearful. They're long past the time. This is decades since they had to suffer at the hands of these people who did it in the name of God. The same people they took confession from tore them from their beds, boys and girls alike. In the name of God. And they took their babies and they incinerated them. Kids who just disappeared. One day you had 40 kids in a room. Next day you might have had 38. They might have run away, found one. Maybe they got further. Maybe they never made it very far at all. There was a great uprising a number of years ago when it was found that unmarked graves, you see kind of right in this space here, unmarked graves containing children were found. Native American children. And to the point that some people were so upset they started burning churches in that area. By the way, going back to Whitney Spearing, working with, what's her name, Rosalind Sam, and so many other, these are grandparents, these are elderly people who still to this day have a hard time speaking aloud the experiences they suffered. The experiences they have lived with, even if they were not directly the victim, knowing that people around them, the kids around them, were suffering in the same way or greater, and they could do nothing. And some of them would complain, and it just would get passed around. The blame would get passed around, and eventually the word would get back to the kid's father, and he'd beat the crap out of her for saying something, for saying such things that could not be true. Like I said at the beginning, this is not an easy watch, but it's something that should be seen. It's something that should be seen. It should be understood. It should be comprehended in a way that says there is evil in this world, and it's in the guise of godly people. Not all the time. I have to make that clarification because people are like, oh, not all. But you hear that all the time. Oh, not everyone. Yeah, not everyone, but enough. And it's happened for too long of a time, where they don't see these people, this Indian problem. They don't see them as human. They see them as objects. They see them as things that are meant to be changed into something better, like them, or used for their pleasure. So you can see it on the faces of these elderly people. In fact, there's even a sequence in this where there is no camera. There is a recording audio, and one of the children of these elders, they're having a conversation about what happened, and it's something that shouldn't. I think it would be just too difficult to watch. To hear it is gut-wrenching enough. So we follow Whitney. Did I say Whitney? Why do I keep forgetting her name? Whitney, as she is doing the forensic stuff. She is poking around the graveyard. She's doing the research of the buildings where these things happened. She's doing the tactical research. Some people are trying to come to terms with the faith they were raised in and the origin of just who they are. And that is the one guy in this, Rick Gilbert. He was a former chief, and he makes a trip. We follow him as he makes a trip all the way to the Vatican. Yes, it became a big enough deal at one point. Why didn't I hear about it? Guess what? It's not every important story is sexy enough to make it to the news. Rick makes a trip all the way to the Vatican to see Pope Francis speak, hoping that maybe he'll provide an apology on behalf of the church. Something. You get to see what he sees. It's actual footage from the Vatican that he and a number of his people, many indigenous people, American indigenous people from all over North America, are there in attendance. And so while we see him, we see Willie speak to different people. We see Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, speaking to the people and offering his, I guess, apology, condolences. It's a hard way to put that. Just for the crimes that were committed against these people. But I don't think any apology is enough. When I see the scenes with Whitney, it's repeated very often amongst her and the women she works with, that these people who are responsible for this stuff need to be held accountable. And unfortunately, most of them are dead. Or fortunately, they got away with it. They spent their lives abusing kids and hurting children. And they got away with it because, well, their position as the hand of God. There's one sequence where Rosalind, actually, they have found one of the brothers, the priests, the superintendents. And by the way, over nearly a century or more, the last one closed in 1997, by the way. That's how recent. The St. Joseph's, I think, closed in the 1980s, but the last one closed in 1997. I'm not sure where, but over many decades, the superintendents of all this knew all this stuff was happening, and they did nothing. I know this Disney Plus is mostly cartoon mice and Star Wars and Marvel superheroes and Pixar, fuzzy, weepy, happy stories. But sometimes, yes, this is National Geographic. Yes, it's some of these things, some of these hard stories are told, or need to be told, need to be seen and heard. I highly recommend this for anybody who wants to have an understanding of. Again, this is Canada, where Canada had about 130 something missions. United States had well over 400 to take care of the Indian problem, to wipe out the people, many tribes, many peoples, because they were inconvenient. I know I'm just way too serious, but this is not a thing that's funny or cute. It's something that I highly recommend checking out. It's like I said, it's going to be a bit of a grind. It's not a grind in the sense that it's a horrible watch. It's beautifully shot. It's beautifully filmed, and even in the spaces, it's not like here's a pile of information constantly coming at you. There are quiet moments, and between the moments of hearing people's experiences, hearing people seeking justice, when you see the adult children of these elders on the verge of breaking down themselves, just hearing what their parents had gone through. What's his name? I'm sorry for forgetting. He's the noise cat guy. Ed Archie. He is one of the only. He was born at a religious school, a mission of children that were brought in to be raised to worship God and be educated in the white man's way. Now, where do children get pregnant? And this is a man who was born. He doesn't know who his father is. I don't even know if he necessarily knows who his mother is. If he does, I don't know if I grasped that fully. It was emotional. She doesn't want to talk about it. There's so many people that are almost in denial of what is going on, and they're brave enough to even be on camera with this, but many times when confronted with the questions of this reality of what they went through, they clam up, and I don't blame them. The concept of a lot of this stuff is too horrifying. Yeah, so I could ramble on, and I have about this. I do highly suggest checking this out. Sugarcane. It's an hour and 48 minutes long. And I kind of, at first, because I didn't know what this was about at all, I saw this, we got a documentary, 45 minutes, I'm sure. No, it's an hour and 48 minutes. It's an hour longer than I expected. And I was just like, I don't have much time left to get these things done. I don't know if I could go through another hour and 48 thing, a 2-hour movie or anything else, but I am glad I watched it. I'm glad that I got to see it. It is the kind of things that put things in perspective about humanity, about religion, about just colonizing. a nation. That's great. Again, we don't have. There's no such thing as our people not having blood on our hands, one way or another. Whether it's bringing over the slaves or destroying the people who already lived here, one way or another, even in the name of God, America has blood on its hands. Canada has blood on its hands. They're so much nicer than us. But we let the Catholic Church do this. And it's not just the Catholic Church that was responsible for these things. In this case, yes, the Catholic Church. Again, watch it. That's all I can say. And let me know what you think. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. 103. This is probably my most soft-spoken episode ever. 103. What is 103? Oh, okay. We got a series. So that means I'm going to watch at least one episode, unless it's a two-parter or something. But this has been on the list since the beginning, since Disney Plus launched, I'm pretty sure. So we're finally getting to it. It is just simply Jessie. Now, some of you Disney Channel heads, you're going to have already, you know this show backwards, forwards. I do not. I have not seen it. So we're going to be watching at least one episode of Jessie on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.